Namaskar. Let us continue with the topic of karma. In the last lecture, I've explained that karma is the law of the cause and effect. Everything has a cause. Every effect has a cause. And every cause must have an effect in the future. So what I feel now, what is today, inside me, outside me, it is because of something done in the past. And what I feel today, what I do today, is the cause for the future effect. So I'm constantly, two things are there. I'm experiencing the results of the past, and I'm also creating the basis for the future. Always, every moment of life, two things are happening. I'm experiencing the reactions to my actions done in the past, and I'm also creating the reactions for the future. And then we spoke about karma in relation to the attainment of the cosmic bliss. It is actually the true desire of the human being is to achieve peace and to achieve divine eternal bliss. Whatever I do, for example, I want to eat ice cream. I do not to experience pleasure, but to experience actually satisfaction. And satisfaction is nothing but the peaceful state of mind, undisturbed by samskara. Samskara is the reaction to the karma, to the actions done in the past. So when I achieve the state of mind where there is no disturbance, when there is no distortion, I will experience peace, and I may experience bliss also. Bliss is just like the Supreme Consciousness or God is just like a moon in the sky, and my mind is just like a lake. If my lake is serene and peaceful, the reflection of the moon will be perfect. So in me there will be perfect happiness, in me there will be perfect bliss. But if there is movement, that original feeling is distorted and it is not there anymore. So in the last lecture I came to the conclusion that we need to clean the mind, we need to purge the mind of all the distortions, of all the karmic distortions called samskaras. So we need to purify the mind from the samskaras. And how do we do that? How do we do that? Because it's a very, very important question. Everything, my everything is due to samskara. My attitudes towards friends, towards family, towards men, towards women, towards mother, towards father, towards money, towards affairs of the state, everything, towards success, everything of that is because of my karma. It is because of my samskara. So if I can change on the deeper level, if I can change that, and most of those reactions, they are in the unconscious level of the mind, in the Atimanas kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha. So I'm mostly unaware what is going on in my mind. I'm mostly subconsciously drawn, unconsciously drawn to situations. You know, sometimes the situation repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats again. Why? Because unconsciously I'm being attracted towards that situation. So if I know how to change that, how to become purified from the samskara, from the distortions, how to restore the balance of the mind, everything in life is going to change. So how? Two things need to be done. One is to clear all the distortions made in the past, and two is to live in such a way as not to create any more distortions. So let us find out how to clean the distortions of the past. Three things are there. One is actually three things, there are three conditions in which there is a ripening of the samskara, which will hasten the expression of the karma. And therefore, if the speed, for example, if you want to pay the loan, you have taken $1 million loan in the bank. And if you are paying, let's say, $10,000 a year, it is very easy to pay, but you are just paying the service charge. You are paying the percentage. You are not really making the loan smaller. So, to become liberated, to get rid of that loan, you have to pay more. So, for the spiritual seeker, it is advisable to speed up the life process, speed up the exhaustion of the samskaras, and at the same time become stronger, so you don't feel, you don't suffer due to that. When people start to meditate, I'm a little bit coming ahead of my topic, but just I will mention this. When people start to meditate, the life starts to go faster. There is a faster pace, and they become scared. Oh, what's going on? Everything happens too fast. So many changes is happening. But this is due to weakness. If the small boy carries the rucksack with a 30 kg of weight, he will feel very, very heavy, very difficult. But if an athlete man carries the 30 kg of weight, he will feel wonderful, joyful, very nice. So similarly, when we become spiritually strong, we are able to handle much faster rate of expression of the samskara. And we are able to burn our karma much faster and actually enjoy it. Not suffer, but enjoy it. We like that kind of fast life, that everything is happening, so many realizations, so many understandings, so many gains and losses, everything happening at the same time. And once you're spiritually strong, you feel okay, no problem. So, in what conditions the speeding up occurs? 3 conditions are there. It is when the mind comes to the standstill. It happens during the coma, during death, and during deep meditation. So you can choose either one. When the mind stops, then the original action ceases, and then the reactive action takes place. This pine, I throw it up. It goes up. As long as it goes up, it cannot come down. It cannot go up and down at the same time. It goes up. When its movement is exhausted, it comes down. So normally we are in the flow of direct action. There is a certain mental setup, and action is not only what I do. My thinking, my mental flows is also an action. There is always movement in the mind. So as long as there is movement in the mind, the action is still going on. I'm still taking the loan. I'm not paying the loan back. But when I stop the mind, then what happens? The pine flies upwards, starts flying backwards. So this is what is happening in meditation. By dint the process of pratyahara sadhana. You close your eyes, you withdraw your mind from the external world, from your body, from your thinking, and you suspend your mind. The mind becomes just like a point, concentrated, like a laser beam, and there is no movement anymore. That movement which was going on, those old worldly thoughts, all worldly flows, mundane events were taking place in the mind, all of that is stopped. So then it starts to come back. So there is no more direct action, there is reactive action. And reactive action is when the payment, when the requital of samskaras is initiated. So that's why when we start to meditate, we feel that everything speeds up. Not with the basic technique. With the basic technique is just to feel the taste of meditation. You feel blessed by doing, you repeat Bhavanam Kevalam. And the technique is very simple. The Pratyahara sadhana is not so profound, though it is there in a rudimentary state, but it is not so profound. It does not lead to the complete cessation of the movement in the mind. So we are not experiencing that in the basic technique, but in the personal technique, in the first personal lesson, you're experiencing that, wow, everything is going very, very fast. Sometimes you feel like just like a snowboard, and your first time, and you are going and the speed is very high now, and then you're like, ah, and then you sit on your butt. No, stop, I don't want to go so fast. So sometimes people feel like this in the meditation, especially the first months after initiation. They feel like, ah, too fast, what to do? Nothing to do. For that, it is good to prepare yourself. It is good to do like half a year of the basic meditation, then receive personal instruction. And after that, is just get accustomed to it. There is no problem. You will get accustomed and you will enjoy it also. So many things happening. And once your mind is very positive, you are not hurt. Even you lose something, because always something comes, something goes. And we become attached to things. And when we get attached to things, to people, to jobs, to project, so then we feel pain when we lose. But when you move with detachment and when you move with positivity, knowing that whatever happens, it happens to the best, then you're not hurt. I tell one story. One lady, she started to meditate. And all of a sudden, husband has become very toxic, very negative. And then he doesn't want her at all to meditate. Then she writes to me, Dada, what to do? I said, well, what can I say? I am not a family advisor. I would see the two solutions. One, you stop meditating, and then your husband will be satisfied, and then all your relationship will come to normal. And number two, you continue to meditate. But then I don't guarantee you anything. Anything may happen there. There may be conflict, there may be struggle, there may be so many things, because he feels that you are coming out of his domination. He has been dominating you, he has been controlling you, and he was, because he might be an insecure person, so he's like really, he tries to. And now he feels that you are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, so he cannot control. So there is, and also the expression of samskara is there. It is your samskara. It is your, in the past you have done something. So today you are suffering the different difficulties in the family. So she said, no, Dada, I cannot stop meditating. I was searching for this my whole life, I cannot stop. I said, well, okay, then up to you. Let's see what's going to happen. So then she used to complain sometimes. She would write to me, then I would tell something encouraging, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. And I would encourage her. And then one day she said, my husband left me. I feel so devastated, I feel so sad. I said, okay, what to do? But everything happens to the best. Let's see. So she was, time to time, once in 2 weeks, she would write to me and I would support her. And then finally she came over it. And then she got married again, and then she found a very nice husband. He is also a practitioner of meditation and very, very, very positive person in supporting her in all respects, and she became happy. She became happy. Okay, without, not like she totally happy, but some difficulties are there because it is in her karma to experience, but much better. And then I asked her, and actually the ex-husband, he came back. Oh, please forgive me, I want to come back. She said, no, I'm not. I'm not interested at all. Then I asked her, do you regret this situation? She said, Dada, when it happened, I did regret. I did regret. But now, I don't regret at all. Because this pain, this going through this process made me realize something about myself and about what I want to do. And I will never ever allow anyone treat me in the way my ex-husband did. So that what happened actually here? A certain cloud in the mind kept her in the situation, kept her in the state of mind that she would allow other people, the narcissist people, to torture herself. She did allow that. She allowed. She welcomed that. But then meditation speed up. So that situation could go, because you have to go through the pain and pleasure. Once you have created the samskara, now to exhaust the samskara, you have to take the pleasure and pain which is associated with that samskara. So you cannot change that. But that could go for 20 years in the small installments. Little by little, poison, little by little pain comes, little by little. But still, you are not able to, to reject that pain. Because you think that it is okay. There is a cloud in your mind. But now there was a very speedy expression. In 3 months she felt very, very bad. But then, new life. She came into the sunshine. I gave you like very, very extreme story, but this is how we are. Some things we are able to understand only after experiencing certain amount of pleasure and after experiencing certain amount of pain. Sometimes we need to experience pleasure. We cannot do anything about ourselves. We must have it. The person wants to eat some chocolate, and his rationality tells him, no, don't eat that chocolate. You are going to be sick after that. But there is desire so strong, he must eat it. Then he eats, then he realizes, oh, I shouldn't have eaten. So that sometimes we must, and sometimes we need to exhaust certain amount of pleasure, certain amount of pain, and then we realize something. So this is how it works. And then meditation speeds the things up, and you develop very, very fast. Normally, that development, that understanding, that realization will happen after 20, 30 years. But if you meditate, it may happen after 2 months. In 2 months you will realize. And then after realizing, you will not, after getting that understanding, you will change the course of your life. You will change your destiny. You see that we live such a precious life, maybe 100 years on this earth. And during these 100 years, we should try to gain more wisdom and more bliss finally. Because as you live in darkness and you pay in small installments, there is no space for bliss. There is no space. You are not suffering so much, but you're also not happy. You are not feeling peaceful and content and really feeling joyful. Somehow you're managing. In my opinion, it is better. Fast, sharp, pain, and then free. Then fly. So this is what is happening when you're meditating. It gives the fast expression of the samskara. Don't worry too much, because even that, by meditation, it becomes easier. I will explain later a little bit. So one thing is important, is meditation. You meditate, you make your mind run faster. You make your karmic processes run faster. Digestion, the karmic metabolism becomes very fast. Then, service. You set up certain vibration in motion in your mind, like I was explaining in the last lecture, like a pendulum. It goes here and goes there. So there is a vibration in the mind, and that vibration creates thinking. That vibration creates emotion. That's how the mind works. So to stop that vibration, you need an opposite force. And the service may be that opposite force. Service is a selfless action. You are doing something and you are not expecting anything in return. No money, no fame, no name, not even thank you. The action itself is your reward. You do the action, you know this is the right action. As a consequence of that action, you may be rewarded, you may be punished. But you are not concerned with the results of the actions. You are concerned with the actions, its action itself. You believe that you have control over the action. You don't have the control over the reaction of that action, the consequences of that action. It is a very interesting, very interesting thing. In the Gita, there was this guru, great master, Shri Krishna. Yeah, in India they worship him as a god. So he taught, karma nevadhi karaste ma paleshu kadachana. You have the right to act, but you have no control over the consequences of actions. Actually, you know, some people, they do everything properly, but nothing comes nicely. And other person done everything wrong, but he gets, you know, good things. Did you see this happening in life? This is happening in life. This is because in the past he has done good things. So today he is reaping the consequences of the past. And today he is doing in this present moment everything properly, but somehow it doesn't come properly. It comes as a he gives the nectar, but he receives back the pain. So and then people become confused. Why like that? Because what I'm experiencing now, it is a result of my past, not of the present. It is the result of my past. And what I'm doing now, it is the cause for the future, not for the present. It is the cause for the future. So this is very interesting. So when we do service, as a result of service, I may experience bad karma. I do something, and in the process of doing good action, according to my samskara, I may receive the bad feedback. I tried to do good, but then everyone criticized me. Everyone, you know, just were so poisonous about me. Why? My bad samskara. But I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned whether my action good or not. Because I know if my action is good, then the future is bright. So there is a good formula. Do what you need to do, and let it be whatever has to be. No? Do what you must. Do what you must. And then let there be whatever must be, let it be. So this is the formula. Action is called karma yoga. Karma yoga. The yoga of reducing the karma. By karma, you neutralize the samskara. That's why service is very important. When we do service, we should not feel proud. We should not misappropriate the action. Oh, I have done so many good things. Please, everybody, praise me. I should not think like this. Rather, I should feel, I was so fortunate that I could do such a service. By doing this service, I could be liberated from the darkness in my mind. So service is very important for the spiritual seeker. Spiritual seeker constantly searches for the opportunity to do service. Whatever service can be done in the physical arena, you cook something, you give, you make a cup of tea, you give, you pull the blanket over somebody, you clean the garbage, and that is the physical. Or you nurture the sick person, you try to serve the sick person or the old elderly person. This is the physical arena of the service. And then there is a service of the manager, the warrior service, to protect if if the strong tyrannizes the weak, you come to the aid of the weak and you protect the weak. And then also managing. You do this, you do that. Organize the processes. This is like a warrior service. Then there is intellectual service. You make people understand, realize, teach, the service of the teachers. And then financial service, material service, giving food, giving clothes, giving money for the projects which are important, which are good for the humanity. So by that, for example, if you give money, you suffer. Especially there is one thing is service, another one is sacrifice. For example, my salary is $40,000 a year, and I give $100. It is service, but it is not sacrifice. And sacrifice when I give $4,000, then I already feel pain. And that pain is neutralizing the reactions in the mind. So there is a great importance of service and sacrifice in the arena of spirituality. And we should not feel like proud. We should feel rather grateful. We should feel that the Supreme Entity came to me in the form of this project, in the form of this suffering person, and I could help. That was the divine grace for me. And by helping, I became free of darkness. That was a very interesting story. One person, he was coming to our functions for the collective meditation. And he would sit somehow through the kirtan, singing of the mantra. But when the meditation would start, he would jump and run away. And then he would come back for the dinner. And then he was doing like this all the time. Then somebody asked, "Hey, why are you doing this? Why are you not staying for meditation?" He said, "I don't know, I somehow cannot tolerate this energy. I'm unable to handle, so I must run away." Then when he met with the Guru commented, he said, "You know, there is some bad samskara from the past. You have done some nasty things in the past. So today, when there is energy of meditation, you cannot handle it, because that is a very pure energy. There is a mismatch of energies of what you have, of your samskaric state in the mind and the energy of meditation. There is too much different, too much mismatch. But there is still also some spiritual tendencies in you. They are attracting you, but you feel painful." And then Guru said that if you do service, if you help somebody, this is going to be reduced and you will be able to meditate. Then after some time, he is sitting for meditation. And then people are very surprised. "What's going on? Why? What happened to you?" Then they ask him, "What happened? Why are you now sitting for meditation?" He said, "You know, I was walking in my village and I saw in the pond somebody is calling for help and drowning actually. And I am not able to swim. I don't know how to swim. But I forgot everything and I thought only service, I need to help. And I remembered my Guru. I thought of him. I thought with his help I will help." And then he jumped into the water and there was a big commotion created, you know, too much shouting, this and that, and it attracted the attention of the people in the village. And then somehow he managed to push that person out of the pond. And then he himself started drowning in that pond. Then, but already villagers, they ran, and then with the sticks they took him out of they put him out of the pond. After that, he felt a different person. He felt a change. He became a changed person, and he started to meditate. And he was enjoying meditation. And then Guru commented, "You see, you have done something. You have actually endangered your life. You have actually undergone some dramatic experience in the process of saving somebody, in the process of serving somebody. So those reactions in your mind, they were neutralized. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Actually, there are many stories about service, how people, and including myself, I also feel when I do sincere from my heart, when I serve, when I do something, I change. I change. After every meditation, when I teach, for example, I initiate somebody into the practice, I feel two things. One, I feel a little bit heavy because there is some kind of, somehow, I feel I get some darkness. But at the same time, I feel stronger. I feel stronger. So there is, actually, I'm not supposed to get any heavy like this. It is when I'm initiating from in the name of the Guru. So the Guru is taking the karma. Oh, I'm opening the secret. I shouldn't talk. Guru is taking the karma of the disciple, and then Acharya is there. But somehow, sometimes it gets. Acharya also gets a little bit of that. So, but at the same time, with every service like that, I feel myself a changed person. My windows of the mind, the doors of the mind, they are opening, and I become a different person. I become stronger eventually. It's very interesting. And when you do something like on the physical level, you cook with love, or you dig the soil, you help somebody, or you clean the garbage. After that, you enjoy very peaceful and beautiful meditation, because the service neutralizes many difficult reactions in the mind. And that is the yogic ideology. Atma mokshartam jagat hitaya cha. We live for the liberation of the soul and the service to every being in this universe. When you follow this ideology, you enter into divine flow. Oh, this is very interesting. You enter into the divine flow. At that moment, you're not feeling anymore that you are doing something or you're experiencing. You are feeling just a conduit of the divine. The divine is expressing through you. Things are just happening. It's not like you are doing something and you are calculating in your mind how to do properly. No, you are just moving in with the flow, and the flow does arrange everything in the most perfect way. When we were building our center, I was working with my good friend, and somehow we were very much like, like two pieces of butter become one, or two pieces of dough become one. So very harmonious, beautiful work. And then sometimes he would just take the ideation and then measure the wood, the plank wood, and say, Dada, cut 5 meters, 30 centimeters. Then I would take the ideation, offer my action to the Supreme, and then I was like, oh my God, I have cut not 530 but 526. Oh, I've spoiled the plank. Say, wait, Dada. I think it is 526. I gave you the wrong measurement. And many times it was like this. As if we are nobody. Everything is done by the flow. It's very interesting. So when you are in the flow, then there is the third way to burn samskara. You should not aspire for that, but it happens automatically. When the disciple becomes the disciple, why in the first place the karma is there? It is a natural law of evolution. By karma, we are learning not to do things, not to do bad things, and to do good things. This is an educational, natural process. So when the person becomes a disciple, there is no need for suffering. The suffering is there a little bit just to show you the way, to open some doors and windows of your mind, but no need for the entire suffering. Samskara is like this, but this one is enough to learn the lesson. So what happens to the rest? the rest is taken upon the shoulders of the Supreme Consciousness. Is a direct interference, we say Guru's grace. Guru in the personal form as a spiritual master, or in the cosmic form as an absolute consciousness, takes that burden upon himself, because that burden is impossible to handle by the human being. It's too long, and then as you pay that debt, you're making new debts. So it becomes completely hopeless. It's just like, there is a child and there is a father, and the child is very confident. So he got this new ball and the hockey stick, and with that stick he just sends that ball directly into the neighbor's window. Pow! it is shattered into the pieces, and a very angry neighbor comes out. Hey! Who is going to pay for this broken window? And the child is very innocently, oh, father is going to pay, of course. He is not afraid of the neighbor. He will think that, oh, my father is going to scold me. But the neighbor cannot touch me. The neighbor is not going to touch me. So similarly, when you become a disciple, when you receive a connection, when you receive an initiation, when you receive the grace of the Guru, of the spiritual master, from that moment, you are son of the Father. And the neighbor, cannot do anything to you, because you are under the protection. So whatever happens from that moment is under complete control and approval of the absolute entity, of the divine love. So he may give you some suffering for you to open your mind, but the rest of the suffering, rest of the samskara is taken from you. That's why in India, one of the names for the god is Hari. Hari means the one who steals. He steals. What he steals? What does he steal? What does he need? He doesn't need anything. Why he should steal? He steals your sins, your samskaras, because otherwise it takes too long time for you to come back to the original state of enlightenment. So this is very interesting. So I feel to burn samskara, three things are very necessary. One is to do meditation and to bring your mind to the standstill. It will speed up the expression of the samskara, and the understanding, the realization will happen much faster. It is so remarkably amazing. I just initiated somebody in one country, and then I come back to that country after 3 months, and I talk to the person, and I see there is so much more intelligence, so much more depth, intuition, sentienthood in that person. And she's like, wow, what happened? It can never happen by the personal efforts. It happens only by the Guru's grace, who takes away the samskaras from that person. So one thing is to meditate diligently. Whatever we can do, we do. Maybe I cannot do very proper meditation, but I sit and I do. I do my duty. Second, do service. Always be open for the service. We should let go of this business-making mentality. Okay, if we need to do business, but also with the service orientation. We should always think how to help the world, how to help people, and never think how to harm. Oh, I need to harm people because I need to do business. This is not going to help you. This is going to create darkness in the mind, and it's not worth of it. It's not worth it. The money which you are getting is nothing. The money comes and goes. But suffering you are creating for yourself is not going easily away. So we always should think not to harm anybody, but always do good to others. And find the opportunities for the service. Because that is like you are it's like a gold, and you are not picking up that gold, then you are fool. You are not wise. So whenever there is opportunity for the service, you jump into that opportunity. And then very quickly the samskaras are getting exhausted. And then the third is the dedication to the Supreme Entity, dedication to the Guru, feeling that I am just a child in your hands, guide me, lead me forward, help me. I need your grace. I ask for mercy. I ask for your grace. That is very important. Okay? So by following these three, samskaras are very quickly getting exhausted and you're becoming a different person. In 1 year you can become totally different person. You will not be able to recognize yourself. You're like, oh, was it me? Yeah, this is what is happening. And it is happening, I'm so convinced about it because it is happening all around. In the subscribers' lives and especially in the students, the people who have received the initiation. Wow, there is so much change. There is so much change. Especially if the person have the faith to handle the speeding up of the samskaras. Sometimes it becomes very fast, and then person be, oh no, stop. No, but then you cheat yourself. Don't stop. Everything is going to be okay. You are in the hands of the benevolent Supreme Consciousness. Everything, the flow is taking care of everything. Okay. Then how to live and not create more samskaras. This is also very important because now I am experiencing the results of the past, and now I am creating I'm building the cause for the future effects. So how not to make more samskaras? In my youth, I thought, when I was taught how to not make samskaras, I thought, okay, bad actions I will do with this technique. But good actions, it is good, let them be there. Who doesn't like to have money? Who doesn't like to have a good relationship? Who doesn't like to have respect of the society? I thought like this. Let it be there. I do some good things and let me get the good samskara. But as I explained to you in the last class, the good samskara it becomes also bad samskara. It is all in comparison. The need to be rich for a certain time is also very tormenting. When you want to be a saint, when you want to realize the Supreme Consciousness, but the mechanism of nature does not allow you to do that. It does not allow you to do enough, to have enough time for meditation, etc., etc., etc. Even the good samskara becomes bad samskara. Everything is relative. So it is better not to create any samskara. No any samskara. And then, when you are no samskara, then what is that? When there is no samskara, that is happiness. And in that state, you are very efficient, effective, because the flow moves through you. Because there is a complete reflection of the moon in the lake of your mind. And then whatever you do is just like, it's divine. So the process not to acquire samskaras is called Madhu Vidya, or the sweet knowledge. Knowledge which turns every bitter thing into something sweet. Whatever bitter was there, but you apply that process, it became sweet. Another name is brahmacharya. What is brahmacharya? Brahma means consciousness, Supreme Consciousness. And char is to eat, is to go, and as you are going, to eat something. That is charati in Sanskrit. So brahmacharya means you're moving about and you're eating Supreme Consciousness. I mean, eating in a very wide sense. It's like, for example, now I look at my cameraman. What am I doing? I'm eating him. Because he comes as a vibration in my mind and becomes part of me. And then why I am doing outside? Because I look on those pine trees, on those birches. I love them. And they create a nice feeling in me. I eat them. So eating is this. But brahmacharya is not eating the trees. It is ideating that those trees are the Supreme Consciousness itself, which assume the form of the tree. So you are coming in touch with the Supreme Entity. It's difficult to understand sometimes for people. What is this Supreme? Is this Supreme Consciousness? No, it is a leaf. Yes, it is Supreme Consciousness. You know the snowman that you make, like this, the 3 balls of snow, that snowman. One morning he wakes up and he says to another snowman, look, I understood something. You know, I am water and you are also water. Say, no, don't be crazy. I am 3 balls of snow. No. You are water and I am water. You are crazy. And this is it. What is this leaf? Go deeper. It is the atoms of, it is the hydrogen, it is the carbon atoms, and many other atoms. Go deeper. It is electrons and protons and so on. Go deeper. It's a vibration of space and time. Okay, then look into the space and time. What is that? It is the metamorphosed form of consciousness. So if we look deeper, we find the consciousness. We can feel it. The divinity is everywhere. It is around us. And we need just a tool to attune ourselves with that divinity so we can feel, we can perceive. If there was a story that the person was going in the street and then he say, oh, I feel the crickets in the grass. So do you have such a nice hearing ability that you can hear in the center of New York? How can you hear the crickets? He said, no, it's nothing with the ability. It's just what you're tuned for. And to make the point, he threw the coins on the pavement. And then suddenly several people, they turned the eyes. He said, you see, these coins is nothing, is not much louder than the crickets, but their minds is very much tuned to the sound of the coins. So, similarly, if we tune ourselves to perceive the consciousness, if you do meditation every day and you tune to that sweetness, then you start to feel and perceive in others, in nature, in people, in animals, in plants, everywhere. So that is called brahmacharya. And as you go, you try to perceive that. Because when you perceive that, every form has an effect on us. You meet the drunkard. He will leave an imprint in your mind. He will leave the imprint in your mind. You meet the president. He will leave the imprint in your mind. So every entity, every object leaves something in us. We become them. We should not become them. We should rather become Supreme Consciousness. Avoid imposed samskara. Actually, in the last class I should have talked about the kinds of samskaras. Maybe, yeah, I can mention briefly. Maybe a separate class we should make about it. There are basically 3 kinds of samskara. One is inborn samskara. The baby is born and already has some setup in him. Already there is a character, there is, nature of that boy, of that girl. Like my sister and I, we are very different. She used to be very quiet. I used to be so loud. I used to make hell for everybody. Very different paths. We were living in the same family, same genes, same, same structure of the body, same toys I was playing. the toys they purchased for her, but then recycle. Second baby use all the same toys. But very different people. Because why? Because the inborn samskaras. My luggage from the past. I came to this life not with nothing. I came with the samskaras which needs to be experienced in this life. So I have a certain destiny, I have a certain path to follow. So this is one kind of samskara, inborn samskara. Another one is imposed samskara. I receive a certain education. So the environment shapes me. I speak Russian language. It shapes me. I love to speak Russian language. I feel so natural. I feel so it's just, and when I speak English, I also love to speak English, but I feel different. So the language modify your psychic sphere. It affects you very much. One is called John, another one is called Sylvester. And they will be different persons, because name will also affect, that vibration that people are calling him will also affect. And I live nearby the river, it will affect me. I live in the mountains, it will affect me. I'm a policeman, it will affect me. I'm a doctor, it will affect me. So the samskaras which we receive, the imprints, the modification in the mind which we receive from the environment, they are called imposed samskaras. And then there is another kind, acquired samskaras. Those are the samskaras which are created in the mind by my direct action. I slap somebody like this. So I get the samskara. I get the modification of the mind, distortion of the mind due to that action. So imposed, inborn, acquired. 3 types of samskaras. So when we try I started to speak about Madhu Vidya. There is a certain lesson actually in meditation. It is a second personal lesson. The first personal lesson takes care of the existing samskaras. It burns all of them. It removes them, purifies the mind, purges the samskaras out. And then second lesson helps you not to acquire new samskaras. And that is called Madhu Vidya or Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is one aspect of this lesson, is to see everywhere the expression of the divine, not to acquire imposed samskara. I look at the drunkard and I meditate that now divine entity, deep within him, somewhere deep, but it is there, and from his eyes the God looks at me. So I'm coming in touch not with the drunkard, I'm coming in touch with God. At the Supreme Entity also, somewhere deep in me, he looks at him, at the God in him. So there is a connection of consciousness. That aspect is called Brahmacharya, seeing everything as divine. And then other aspects are there. One aspect is to Karitri Abhimana Tyak, means to renounce the pride of action. One must feel that it is not me who is doing the action. Rather, one should feel I am an instrument of the divine flow. In me, there is love, there is harmony, there is joy, there is bliss. And this bliss spills itself. It comes out of me, spills itself to the world in the form of action. I am cooking the food? No, it is the bliss in me jumping out and creates this cake. So this feeling, to meditate, first meditate and feel one. Actually, my mind is obedient tool of the inspiration of the Supreme Entity. I'm coming into the flow, I'm coming into the oneness, and then I'm doing something. So that is this Karitri Abhiman Tyag. Means I'm letting go of the pride of action. It is not me who is doing, it is the divine flow is doing. And then also renouncing the desire for the results of action. If you want something in particular, you will not be able to concentrate on the action. You will be concentrating on the results. And when you're concentrating on the result, that is automatically ego. Ego wants something. Ego is very blind. The mind is blind. It just wants pleasure and wants to avoid pain. It can never see the big picture. So I want to avoid pain. I want to get pleasure. And that means I am acting out of a very small perspective. And I'm not allowing the divine flow to express through me. Because of this short-sightedness, I cannot stay still. I have to fluctuate. No, I need this, I don't need this. So letting go of the desire of the results of actions. I'm not thinking for the result. Of course I'm planning. I'm trying to do everything properly. But my main focus is on the action. Whether my action is righteous or not. If it is righteous, I'm going to do irregardless of the results. And if it is not righteous, I'm not going to do irregardless of the results. Whether I am promised maybe one big heap of gold for that action, but I'm not going to do. Because that is that. I'm not focusing on the results, I'm focusing on the action. So this constitutes the process of Madhu Vidya. I renounce the desire for the results of action. Everything happens according to the cosmic will. I do my best, I try my best, but emotionally I am not attached. Secondly, I get rid of the vanity of the performer. It is not me, it is the divine flow through me manifesting itself. Then there is another small portion. I also, because I may feel that, okay, I'm not doing anything, the divine is doing everything through me. But I will still, there is still little pride is there. I will think that, yeah, but he has chosen me to do this kind of work. Still, my body and mind is chosen. So for that, I need to ideate that actually this body and mind is also a divine consciousness. There is nothing, there is no duality, there is oneness. And then finally, see everything is divine. It is wonderful. Actually, when you, for example, when you listen to the person and you look at him or her with this attention, feeling that the God is talking to you now, oh, there is very, very nice chemistry. Sometimes beautiful ideas come out and there is this satsang. Something opens and two flows, rich, abundant, are flowing from one person to another and from that person to the first one. There is exchange, and in that exchange both parties become much richer. They become inspired. But it's a big art. It's a big art to perceive the person with respect, with love, and just seeing him, listening him as the divine entity. And also see that divine in yourself is also very important. Have that confidence. Now God is going to speak through me. It will happen. I'm confident in God. He is going to speak. I will just let him speak. My teacher, he used to criticize. He say, "Hey, why are you listening to that person? He is preparing for his lectures during 1 week. Intellectual." I'm orator. I don't prepare. I speak from my heart. You should learn this form of presentation. And then I was listening to him, but also listening to that person. And then after many years we met. Then he asks, so, you are preparing your lectures? Do you study so much and then you talk? I said, no, Dada, I speak from my heart. I'm trusting the flow and I talk. Say, oh, I'm glad you got it. So it was like, okay, the son has not shamed the father. It's very funny, but there is, truth in that. I mean, when you are just relying on the intellect, nothing is happening. It's really boring. But when you feel the freshness, the newness, the novelty of that flow that is going through you, and you are living this moment as something new, just right now, in this very present moment, something wonderful is happening. And I'm not twisting that something wonderful. I'm not, distorting it. I am not forcing it. Rather, I am surrendering to it and let it go. And that becomes wonderful. That is poetry, that is art, that is science, that is everything. So, how interesting, how wonderful we could be if we let this flow move through us. And at the same time, in this process, we are not acquiring a new karma. We just remain clean. And then the full reflection of consciousness is shining through us. That is very beautiful. That is very beautiful. I'm really inspired about the meditation, what it does to you. It is the most important thing in life, really the most important thing. Because it brings you closer to your true nature, and that is the consciousness divine, the eternal consciousness. And many beautiful things are going to happen through you. I am very confident now, as you are watching this video and you are getting these ideas, I am very confident you are going to do wonderful things in your life. You are going to disseminate bliss and love all around you. This is what is going to happen to you. This is going to happen to you, most definitely. We must celebrate it. We must celebrate. We must feel joyful about it. And if you have not done meditation, you do it. Do the meditation and feel. The divine consciousness is doing meditation through me, actually. And if you have not done service, then do service. And if you have not found the Guru, long for him. And the moment will come, then you will be ready for spiritual initiation. You will acquire Guru. You will acquire the most powerful friend who will help you to overcome every karma which is there. And with that, nothing is impossible. Thank you very much. I hope that you can write something in comments, what you think, what are your thoughts, whether you like those ideas or not, whether you understood those ideas or not. If there is any need for further clarifications, there is no problem. We can make more videos and more videos and more videos on that. I enjoyed talking to you. I hope you also enjoyed watching this Karma Explained videos. Thank you. Namaskar.